Today on the Soccer O.G, we pay tribute to Diego Armando Maradona, the greatest football player in the history of the game. I'm not here to argue with anyone about that. I think it's factual, and maybe I can convince you a little bit over the next few minutes. But really, with what he did in an abbreviated career in comparison to so many other greats, was the best. The best. And the impression that he left on so many, unrivaled. And I look at the reaction since his death, and I've never seen anything like it for an athlete. I remember when Ayrton Senna, the F1 driver in Brazil, died, and there was these processions miles long in his home country and places in Europe. We certainly felt it when Kobe Bryant passed away, and Muhammad Ali as well, but nothing like this. We have never seen anything like this before. We'll never see it again. He left an impression on so many. The reactions, the videos, the images, the stuff that's being pulled out of the archives that he had an impact on was stunning over and over and over again. And the emotional attachment to so many. It was unbelievable, and still coming out every day, and I can't get enough of it. But that reaction as to why he was so great is the first point. The next one was obviously his playing career. And again, it was much shorter than I think anyone would have liked, but what he did with Napoli, changing the fortunes of that club, making himself a god in that city, making them champions, the unlikely champions, putting that on his shoulders, which he did time and time again. He was good in other places, but obviously on the club scene, that was his crowning achievement. The national team accomplishments is what separates him. And I truly believe doing well at the World Cup or the big international competitions separate the great ones. Lionel Messi hasn't won it. He cannot be considered. Because something separates Diego Maradona and Lionel Messi. Lionel Messi loses those games, he's disappointed. Diego Maradona loses a game at that stage, and he is physically sickened. He is moved at a point where he can't stomach it. He can't accept it. And he's struck back in many ways. As we saw with the hand of God, he wasn't going to lose. By the way, the people, particularly in England, who feel like he has to apologize for something, and they've been blinded to his accomplishment because they were upset about a play here, a play there, I feel sorry for you that you missed this greatness, because this is a once in a lifetime that we have seen. And his like will never come this way again. It's just too crazy of a story to come anything close to it. The 86 World Cup. You look at that team from Argentina, and there weren't many players that had distinguished careers alongside Maradona on that squad. Daniel Passarella, Jorge Valdano. They were good players, but this was Maradona putting this team on his shoulders and going through and winning it pretty. There was never a point where Argentina wasn't going to win it. Even the England game, without the hand of God, Argentina wins that game, demolishing Belgium and then taking care of the West Germans in the final. The 1990 World Cup, he almost did it again, and they did it the hard way. You'll remember Argentina lost to Cameroon in the opener. And then they finished third in the group, barely qualified for the round of 16. So they had to open up with Brazil, who were the favorites to win it all. They beat them, Yugoslavia, then beat the host Italians in Naples before losing to the West Germans in the final. Imagine, on a penalty. Imagine a ball bounced the other way and they won back-to-back World Cups. They almost did. The other thing about Maradona that makes him so great is we can relate to him. And we've seen that in so many places because he was flawed. He made a lot of mistakes. Guess what? We're flawed. We make a lot of mistakes. We see ourselves in him and that he was still able to achieve such greatness. The drug use is obviously a big issue. And I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. And he said, can you imagine what Maradona could have done if he stayed away from the drugs and that lifestyle? And I said, I think he needed it. I think that was how he fueled it all. Because that was the lunacy, that was the personality he had, and that comes part and parcel with everything else. I don't think you can take one away from the other. It was part of this incredible energy around this man. I hate to say it, but you take that away, and I don't think you have the same player. 20 years ago, roughly, I was working at Fox, and we had an Argentine channel called Torneos y Competencia, and we had their satellite feed coming in. And Maradona was on his deathbed. He was calling in, and he sounded awful, and everyone was preparing for him to die. And we go, is this the way it's going to end? He picked himself up. He cleaned it up. He became the manager of the national team. He looked good. He was back at it. But all of that did catch up to him. We knew he was going to live a short life, and 60 is way too young. But he picked him up. He fell in these crevices. We could relate to that. And everyone can in all corners of the world where they felt the loss of Maradona. I will end it with this on a very personal level. I lived in Mexico briefly in 1985. Never watched any football, soccer. My gateway was the 1986 World Cup. So I saw them. They were about to host it, Mexico was. And then this is the first time I really watched games over and over again. And Diego Maradona was my tour guide. And to see him take me through this adventure, I thought this was always like, to have these players. At first I hated him. And then I got to enjoy him. But I watched the whole tournament and I was hooked. And guess what? 34 years later, I am making a profession out of this. Soccer puts food on my table. Soccer pays my mortgage. Soccer keeps me gainfully employed and allows me to pursue something that I love so much. And I don't think that would have happened without Diego Maradona showing me what it was all about in the 1986 World Cup and allowing me to fall in love. So for that, gracias Diego. Que Dios se lo bendiga. Thank you for all the incredible memories. You are going to be missed. You made an impact on me. You've made an impact on so many others, and it won't be forgotten ever.